On November the 20th, 2024, 14 out of 15 governments on the UN Security Council voted in favour of an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Just one country voted against, the United States. It used its power of veto, and because of this, the resolution didn't pass. Let's look at V for veto. In 1945, as the United Nations was created, 5 governments make themselves VIP members: France, China, US, UK and the Soviet Union. They give themselves permanent seats on the Security Council and the power of veto. At the time, they appealed to the principle of unanimity, that all P5 members would need to agree in order for a UN Security Council resolution to pass. At the time, the UK, the US and China seemed to be open to the idea that if one of the P5 were involved in a crisis that they were voting on, they wouldn't be allowed to vote. The Soviet Union argues against this. It says it will violate the principle of unanimity and that the P5 should be allowed to vote on a crisis even if it's involved in the crisis. They win the argument, and this is what's written into Article 27.3 of the United Nations Charter. Since 1946, the veto has been used 325 times. Soviet Union, now Russia, leads the way with 161 votes. The United States has used its veto power on 93 occasions, the UK 32 times, China 21 and France 18 times. This data doesn't even capture the so-called silent veto, which is when resolutions aren't even tabled on the Security Council because member states know that one of the P5 is going to veto it. The veto, therefore, is a shield that allows the permanent 5 members to protect themselves and their allies. For example, the US has used the veto a lot to protect Israel, whilst Russia used the veto 18 times during the Syrian crisis to protect Assad. Intriguingly, the UK and France haven't used their veto since 1989, when they used it to protect the United States after it invaded Panama. Maybe someone should tell Donald Trump that. So what can governments do about this? Well, there's 2 things really. The first is that there are initiatives to constrain the power of the veto. France led on one of them, and it's now supported by the UK. This is a voluntary code of conduct which would ask the P5 not to use their veto in relation to genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes. But the P3 of China, Russia and the US won't agree to it. Governments can invoke what's known as the Uniting for Peace resolution. This moves the debate from the Security Council into the General Assembly. The General Assembly can pass a resolution, but it's only a recommendation. It carries legitimacy, but it's not binding. Overall, what we're left with then is that there are 193 countries in the United Nations. 192 of them might want the Security Council to pass a resolution. But if just one of the permanent 5 uses its power as veto, it won't pass. To end then, it seems that humanity can be held hostage by just one veto. With that in mind, I think the best we can do is cultivate humanity from the bottom up through our day-to-day interactions. And on that note, have a fantastic day.